The big trip around America continues. On to Indiana and Kentucky, with a short little jump over to Illinois. We changed up plans a little bit. We'd intended on going into Chicago, but just with the current situations, we decided we wouldn't risk going into a big city like that. We looked for a place to go visit instead, and we found General Lew Wallace Study and Museum in Crawfordsville, Indiana. That was a jewel. The whole downtown is historic, with a lot of real neat history. And you don't really hear much about General Lew Wallace. He worked his way up the ranks during the Civil War, all the way up to Brigadier General. Served with distinction in several of the various battles. Went on to be the appointed governor of the New Mexico Territory during the Lincoln County Wars and dealt with Billy the Kid. After that, he served America overseas with the Ottoman Empire. Yet, how often do you hear of him? One of his most notable accomplishments was he was the author of Ben Hur. Even during that time, right after he wrote it, it became a very popular, very famous novel. Later in life, he built this study so that he could go out and work on other novels and projects that he had. And he seemed to not be able to sit still very long. He even decided to start making his own violins. None that he actually finished have ever been found, because he never signed any of his work. But there are some out there. He even designed a fishing pole with a reel built into the handle. All the books you see on the shelves were his. And this is actually a costume from the 1959 movie Ben Hur. Fascinating man with a fascinating history. I'm really glad we swung through and were able to see this.
There's the sign. Kind of hidden.
It's covered in brush.
It is.
County road in Indiana. Corn, anyone?
That's a pretty Japanese maple back here.
Cool little pond.
Yeah.
We picked up some stragglers today.
Well, hibiscus, isn't it?
Looks like a hibiscus.
And then
Oh.
So then we went on into Kentucky. The Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter were the big attractions for us there in Kentucky. And we were able to meet up with Mom and Dad and have them visit us for a while and join us at both of those events. Going to the Creation Museum, you walk through a pretty elaborate garden. I think it's supposed to kind of imitate the Garden of Eden. Love the waterfalls, beautiful plants. Love to build this in my backyard. And then on to the museum. You see a lot of dinosaurs, and they really emphasize the fact that dinosaurs and people were on this earth together. And one of their main themes this time around was the fact that you hear all of the dragon myths and how it could very easily be that the dragons were the last of the dinosaurs. It was really enjoyable to be in a museum that talked about the differences between evolution and creation and showed that creation is more than likely what did happen, and that even though all of the supposed quote evidence of the evolutionists claiming millions of years, it all backs up creation in a true 6-day creation. It was nice to see good solid facts that back creation and show the errors in evolution. Whereas most places you go, they try to shove so much information, false information, out there, trying to explain things differently. This diorama kind of walks through the Genesis story from creation on to Noah's Ark and beyond.
Are you scared?
They touched a little bit on Noah's Ark here, but there's so much more information on it at the actual Ark Encounter that we went to the next day. These are the remains of an Allosaurus that they found. That skull is one of the most intact and complete Allosaurus skulls that's been located. Of course, the actual skull is in a different case off to the side because of its sheer weight. It would, over time, make the neck droop on the display if they had actually put the real skull on the skeleton. The Ark Encounter was amazing. They used measurements from the Bible for the actual measurements of the Ark. They based it on the imperial cubit. And it's a little over 500 feet long. And the way you come into it, you don't go right to it, so it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you get closer. And they also say this is the largest wooden structure in the world currently. And as you go in, they show kind of a section of what the hull could have been made with and the different techniques used to actually create a strong enough ship to hold all the animals and handle the ocean. It was neat seeing all of the different possible ways that animals could have been caged and the things they could have done for the trip itself. I mean, you have to take into account that this is an artistic idea. No one knows for sure what the inside of the Ark was, but it was neat to see that simple cages could have been made, automatic watering systems could have been used. The storage in clay pots was a very strong possibility. And just some of the different techniques they could have used. Those burlap covered pots you saw, there was a moth box between them with bamboo tubes leading from the moth boxes to the clay pots where they could have held amphibians, frogs, lizards that could have fed on the moths. And they showed various different storage of the animals, such as these bats. One of the things we discussed while walking through was this is a display to show people what could be like inside. And there's so many very wide paths, very wide stairs, all built for the tourists that come and see it. Yet, in Noah's time, he wouldn't have needed those very wide paths and very wide stairs and ramps to get up and down. So it actually would have had a lot more storage than what they were showing. And they did show a lot of storage. Animal cages of all sizes. One thing I never really considered thinking about was the actual living quarters for Noah and his sons and their wives. And I think they did a very nice job of showing what could have been like inside the ark. And just seeing it in person and knowing there was that much space, and that the ark could have held all of this. It was a really neat exhibit. We all thoroughly enjoyed walking through it. All 3 levels. I think Mom said that according to her Fitbit, we walked like 2.5 miles walking around the ark that day. And Sonja wanted to spend more time in the library here. She loves her books. Not only living quarters, but working quarters as well. They showed both a carpentry and a forge. Very neat to see these displays and how it could have been inside the ark. This is the center section, and all the decks are open to one another. And it could just be for showing how big the ark really is, but another viable possibility is that this was meant for ventilation for all the animals and the people on board. Big wooden timbers were very, very impressive. And we thoroughly enjoyed all the research done on how everything could and would fit. $6,700 animals. That would have been a lot of work to keep up on. And this was a neat display showing that there's so many cultures out there that have flood myths all over the world. Good times.
Leaving the Ark exhibit. Maybe we should have stayed on the boat.